Hello and welcome to the EBSCO Learning Express Library training session. This is for Utah Public Libraries. So this is a resource that's now available to all Utah Public Libraries. And if you haven't seen it lately, it's got some new things available and some changes. And we're going to be focusing in this session on Job and Career Accelerator, which is one of the centers that's available in Learning Express, but is a little bit different than some of the others. This is our fourth session that we've conducted here, you know, we started off with an overview, intro to Learning Express Library as a whole. We talked about marketing resources and promotion ideas and best practices, and then a deep dive into the other Learning Express centers, and now we're focusing on Job and Career Accelerator. The session's scheduled for 1 hour. Feel free to ask questions if you have them. There will also be time at the end. And also on the line I'll mention is Donna Liss, who is your Regional Sales Manager. Donna, would you like to say hello?
Sure. Good afternoon, all. Thanks so much for attending this session. I think this one in particular is really relevant to what's happening today, and it will certainly help patrons who are seeking new positions.
Yeah, great. Absolutely. More relevant than ever, of course. And also, I don't have her name up here. I'm sorry about that, but it's also Trish Paulitz, who's training a Learning Express Library product specialist, and you may have heard from her. She can help out getting direct links to resources and things like that. You want to say hello, Trish?
Sure. Hi, everybody. Yes, as Jason mentioned, I'm here to really help you be successful with this resource and to help you promote it and just share tools to really help this make it easy for patrons to access, especially this time when in the state of the world as it is right now. So it's nice to quote unquote meet you.
Right. Great. Thank you, Trish. My name is Jason. I'm a training specialist with EBSCO. And this is our agenda for today. After welcome and introductions, we're going to go kind of quickly through how to access, create an account, and log in. I know many of you have been to the other sessions, but if anybody hasn't been, I'll just talk about that briefly. And then we're going to get into Job and Career Accelerator in detail and some of the things you can do there, like learn about careers that you might have an aptitude for, or you know, based on your interests or skills. So there's some interactive tools that you can go through that ask questions. What do you like to do? What are you good at? What do you enjoy? And so that's kind of an interesting tool for anybody to use, honestly. And then the tools for searching for jobs and internships, and then help for creating cover letters and resumes and tools to manage those and connect those up with job searches or applications. And, you know, there's a lot of more other tools in here. So, you know, we'll round it out talking about the support and FAQ and training resources that are available, and you can find those at EBSCO Connect, connect.ebsco.com. And of course, if there's questions, we'll take time for that as well. Now, just quickly, Learning Express Library as a whole is the idea is to help students and adults improve academic skills or workplace type skills to find a better job. And then one thing it's most known for is preparing for high stakes exams. And that could be getting a GED or a career certification. And there's lots of different types of content within it, lots of practice sets and tests, tutorials, videos, ebooks, flashcards, and then what we're focusing on today, the job search and resume and cover letter builders. And it's all cloud-based, so it's stored in an online account. And there's a dashboard for the Job and Career Accelerator that's has also been kind of updated fairly recently, so some changes there. And there's interface and content in both English and Spanish. Now, in Job and Career Accelerator, there's not as much, but there is the option to have the interface in Spanish. And let me go ahead and share my screen now, and we'll talk about these tools. Just a second. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen, and I've got my web browser open. Let me move this. Just a second. There we go. So I've got my web browser open to Learning Express Library, the Utah State Library instance of it. So it's available by virtue of purchase through the state, so available statewide to all Utah public libraries to use. And one thing I'll point out too that's relatively new, even if you have been attending these sessions, if you go to the Utah Online Library page, I've noticed that's been updated. So the place that you create your account matters, the link that you use matters, because if you go through your library's website, if you have your patrons go through there using the special link for your particular library, it can track that in statistics, and you can learn things about usage patterns, what are the popular tests that people are preparing for at different times of year, maybe that kind of thing, and tailor accordingly. So if you click on one of these, you'll see a list of libraries, alphabetical. So, and that's a link you can use to create an account. Once you do create the account there, you can actually sign in from any kind of instance of Learning Express Library, and that'll take you, to the original site that it was associated with. But this makes it nice and easy too. You can just find your community library in the list here, and it would, well, I've probably got a cookie it's going to catch here or something. Is what it probably should do. Yeah, see, that's what happened here. But usually, like, if you weren't signed in like I am already here, that's what would occur. And I've actually already signed into my account here, but just to show, also, when I log out, it kind of lands on a generic version. But again, I can just log in again. There is a register link to sign up for an account here, or use a Google sign-in if you'd rather do that. And I'm just going to sign in again to a demo account that I created. And just to show you, so now it recognizes, oh, okay, you created that under the Utah State Library account. And now it lands me on this My Center page, where it's keeping track of all my tests and tutorials and ebooks and everything else. So I can go check a score or pick up where I left off. And then there's this career dashboard and the school finder and scholarship finder dashboards. Those are all kind of tied together, related to Job and Career Accelerator. And so you'll see this kind of fill up. And there's a few I've already, I've done save some jobs and other things that'll appear here. So it's a good tool to kind of track that. And again, it's just all in the cloud there. So let's look at the different pieces of Job and Career Accelerator. And just to mention, remember, if you need to ask a question, you can bring your cursor up to the top of the screen to that blue WebEx tab and pull down the menu And you get a toolbar, including a chat button there that you can call up and type in any questions you have. Let me just pause and check in too. Any questions so far? I'm going to go ahead here, but of course, feel free to type that in, and we'll keep an eye out for those. I'll go ahead and close this kind of COVID warning thing. So, you know, each of these centers is kind of focused on different purposes. In a previous session, we looked in more detail at career prep. You can find some ebooks about learning about careers, some tools for improving workplace skills, and then lots of prep materials for different types of exams. We looked at nursing as an example. So, you know, that is career related, but Job and Career Accelerator is more about, again, there are some tools to learn about careers like the career ebooks library and improve work oriented or work associated skills like preparing for an interview, you know, explore occupations to learn about jobs. So they're kind of related, but there's some different things that you can do here. One, for example, I'll start off with find a career match. And so once I do click on that, it's going to take me into this career dashboard. So this is the part that's a little bit new, and it would be empty. I just have a little bit here that's, you know, a previous job search that I did. And, you know, so it expands that out at the top, and I can collapse that if I want to, and then see the other sections that I was looking for. So, you know, finding a career match was where I was going. And there's an interest matcher and a skill matcher. And I won't run through the whole thing, but I can just kind of show you what these are about. So this is the one, you know, based on your interests, what are some careers you might be interested in? And I think school-age children might find this interesting, but of course, you know, people that are considering a career change but are not sure what or, you know, anybody, it's kind of interesting to take these tests. And, you know, that's where I can change the interface to English or Spanish for this. But essentially, it's telling me, you know, on a strongly dislike to strongly like scale, you know, what's your opinion of some of these different activities, you know, building cabinets, laying brick, developing a new medicine. So, you know, you could go through and mark these, and, you know, it asks you a whole series of these questions. And then at the end, it gives you a list of kind of primary and secondary matches to careers, which you can then dig further into to learn more about. Now, of course, I don't want to actually do the whole thing in front of you here, but you get the idea. So, you know, of course, that goes on my dashboard. I could, you know, pick it up where I left off and continue along there. There's also the skill matcher, and that's a similar kind of thing where instead of interests, it asks you about, you know, what are you good at? Just to show you quickly, you know, I can paint a room in my house. I'm able to take care of sick pets. Some of these are a little more obvious than others, but you might be surprised at the ones it'll recommend for you if you go through this. So that's the find a career match section. And once I do that, it remembers that, and it can use that as information when I'm looking and trying to learn about some other jobs. So one way I might do that is go to the career ebooks library, and I'll go ahead and say close without saving because I didn't even enter anything on that one. Okay, back to our dashboard here. It just always kind of shows up there at the top now. So lots of ebooks here about different professions. Maybe, you know, if you want to really understand what a career is about and what what's entailed, you know, these can give some ideas. And then other things like conversations for career success. So just an ebook library basically. And if you recall, these ebooks are just PDFs. You can download them and they don't expire. They're not locked up with digital rights management or anything. So they're a good resource. They're always available. And then let's look at explore occupations as a part of this. So we're going to go learn about some different occupations. And this gives us 4 different kind of lenses, which are some tools that you can use to learn about some different careers. There's also some tutorials down here for those that are in the military or transitioning from the military to civilian life or going to college. So these are a different kind of tutorial. They're similar to those like the math ones. They're structured that way with units on the left and maybe content in the middle, and may have some videos and other types of things there. So remember that, and again, if you don't remember where it is, you could always come up here and do a search. You just remember, oh, I knew it has the word military in it, so here they are. If you didn't remember which section that was under, for example. And these 4 tools come from the point of view of, well, either just exploring occupations in general. That's what this one in the lower right corner is. But then there's also, what are some in-demand occupations based on, what are growing, what are projected to have, needs in the future, like, it all depends, but, nursing is one example. That's a kind of a growing occupation. And then there's also military to civilian, where you can say what you did in the military or give your, your code. It can then suggest careers that match up to, something you have experience for already, I've had some training for. I'm just going to go ahead and do the general one here, just to give you a sense. And this is going to help me not just learn about what the career is about, but some of the kind of details, what's required, what are some, what kind of education do I need? Now, when I come in here to learn about it, it gives me these kind of groups. So if I'm thinking about healthcare, here's a big list, obviously, and I can Control F in my browser to kind of find what I'm looking for. But let's say I'm looking for information about registered nurses. And now it loads up what's called basically a detailed card. It will load anyway. And that's got information about the occupation. And these are taken from a database. It's called the ONET Career Database that has these details. And, you'll see where it's pulled from, where there's published statistics on things and, labor departments in the U.S. and different states. And so here's, first of all, just a video. The videos are all transcribed in Learning Express Library, and there's closed captioning. It's a short one, but that's to learn about. You can print or save. Obviously, you can't print the video, but you can print the card or save it. And then you get information like wages and trends. That's pretty important. And this can break down. It gives you helpful hints along the way to help understand what you're looking at. But, let's say Utah. Whoop, get in here. Oh, I'll just drag and find it. There it is, Utah. And, it's going to give average salary, U.S., and then for whatever state you choose, projected growth, job openings, those kinds of things. Then it gets into other details like what are knowledge, skills, and abilities that you might need, tasks and activities that are done. And this is part of that skill matcher or interest matcher as well, is kind of matching up to some of those things. What tools and technology might you be using? What kind of education and training do you need? You might want to learn about related occupations that are similar, and these will go to those cards. There's also a web resources section, and again, you could choose the state. And this will link out or show different things. In this case, it goes out to the jobs site, the Department of Workforce Services for Utah. Practice resources. So this is kind of a tie-in to the tests and flashcards and ebooks and things about becoming a registered nurse, all kind of pulled together in a list there. And this would show skill improvement. I don't really have anything here because I haven't done much, but based on my performance as I go through doing practice tests, that would show up. And then it actually shows a job search under View Available Jobs. You can go directly through this elsewhere, but right here on the card, and I can do a basic search, and then it's already just run, showing, in this case, a search on nurses, because that's what the info we're looking at. So you can see some actual job listings. And the job listings in this case are coming from Indeed.com. They could also be coming from USA Jobs, which is federal openings, federal job listings. And it's also, there's this helpful hints section, which, it's got what are some common abbreviations you might see, either just, job hunting type abbreviations or for the profession you're looking at. So that can be actually kind of handy. And then this is an area where I could save jobs onto this occupation card. Now, that's a lot of information that's just on this one card, so I'm learning about that. I'll go ahead and save it, and that goes now, onto my dashboard so I can easily pull that up again easily. All right, let's go back here. So I'm going back to the home page now. We've looked at a few of these different sections. I'm going to go right to the search for jobs and internships section. And I've got a choice here. Am I looking, do I want to look in the federal job search engine, or do I want to look at Indeed.com? And that's where those job listings that we saw a moment ago are coming from. There's actually a tutorial here on kind of the job hunt process too that might be a good place to start. This is searching Indeed, but searching for internships as opposed to, full-time positions, paid positions. And I mean, they could be paid internships too. So I'm going to go to the search Indeed.com. I can toggle that back and forth at the top here. There's a basic and an advanced search that I can use. Advanced gets into more details like, real specific, even searching within certain company names, or, there's sometimes listings that are on employer sites versus these job board sites. Other filters like, how recently it was posted, what type of job is it, specific locations. I'm not going to do much with that. I'm actually just going to keep it simple for now and just say registered nurse. But obviously the search matters a lot to make sure it's finding relevant jobs, and it might take some fine-tuning. And you might then want to save it so you don't have to keep running it. So I'll go ahead and run this search for registered nurses in Utah, and it's come back with 584 results. Maybe I'll go ahead and save this job search So now I can just run that without having to enter all that in. And here are the results down below. And, you know, within 25 miles is the default. Now I just chose Utah as a whole. So, you know, but you could do it by zip code or a more specific location like that, a city. And now there's the positions, a little summary of each one, the title, who the employer is, where they're located, or, you know, sometimes this one, here's a work from home job kind of thing. And just a little summary, perhaps, from the, or, you know, important information to know about the details. You can save a listing, and it gives you, fills in, you know, title, company, description. You can add contact name and email if you want. You can add a resume and a cover letter. We haven't really even gotten to that yet, but those would show up there. And then you could add it to an occupation card or just skip that step. And because you know, I can select search all of them, or what do I have for saved? I have that nurses one. So that's just a kind of way to organize them. So now that, you know, I've saved a search, I've saved a particular job, let's look at one of these in more detail. When you click on the title, it'll take you different places depending on what you were searching, but here it's going out to Indeed.com, and there's the listing and a button, and this will go out to presumably University of Utah's job site, their career site. And there's, you know, the more information here and so on. So that's kind of how the apply would work too. Typically, it's going to just open up the whatever it is, and now I'm, you know, I've got the apply button from here, which would, you know, go right to the employer's site, and then I could follow the process from there going forward. USA Job Search, let me just show you that. So you similar kind of basic search options. Advanced search is a little bit different. So, you know, this is, it can take advantage. Each one's structured differently in terms of what kind of search parameters you can use. But, you know, armed forces in terms of hiring path, what type of appointment, security clearance, sensitivity and risk, details, pay grades or salaries. So, you know, those are all things that are important in the federal employment landscape. So all available to search there. And again, you can just do a keyword search by title, or let's see what we get here. So yeah, you know, VA office, Air Force, you know, the kinds of things we're seeing there. And in this case, when I click through, it's going to go out to the USA Jobs site where I can kind of find the full details and do and apply through there. So this is pulling in those job listings, and it helps me so I can organize these. So I'll go ahead and, whoops, I could save this one. You know, this is you know, maybe a slightly different search. You know, I can save those listings, attach it to a card or not. It's not required. Now that was, we looked at the job and the federal, Indeed.com and the federal job search, USA Jobs. There's also the internship search, and this is Indeed, so it's going to be similar to that in terms of, you know, it's just choosing internship as the job type, basically. So I can also just keep it very broad, maybe not necessarily having to be in Utah. You know, so a few different kind of paid internships. Those are, you know, it'll show in the details what it is, but here's kind of nursing-oriented ones. Okay, let's go to that. I'm going to go to my Center page. And, you know, here I am on that career section. There's the jobs I've saved, so you can see I can just jump back to those quickly. The saved searches, I can just go run it from here. Saved occupations, there's that card. You know, I can pull up I haven't finished those, so, you know, that's why they're not showing any details, but I can, you know, refer to the interest and skill matcher too. So, you know, maybe I find a couple jobs I'm interested in applying for. You know, I see those here, I've saved them. And so now I need to furnish a resume and a cover letter. If you already have one, great. You can actually upload it. But if you don't, there's a tool to help you build one. And there's different ways to access it, but here's, you know, the front door to this tool. So the resume builder and the cover letter builder will start off, so we're at this add a new resume tab. There's some tips along the way. Are you creating a new one or are you uploading an existing one? If you're just uploading, you can choose different file types. It could be a PDF or a Word document. Word documents are generally a little easier to parse. You can, you know, you'd want to give it a name. You can give it a description so you remember. You might have a sort of a general one, and then others you're going to tailor for certain jobs. Or you can start from scratch and use this resume builder. And that's handy because for those that haven't created resumes, it can be kind of intimidating. There's some ebooks with example resumes to look at, or, you know, guidance on creating these. But this is sort of a wizard or a step-by-step process to create one. So I'll call this one nursing resume. Description is optional. Job category goes under health science. And then job experience, I can specify what is my experience, how much training do I have? And, you know, maybe I'm a entry-level job seeker. Maybe I'm, you know, just got the GED, all the way up to experienced or research, academic jobs. I'm just going to keep it at entry level. And then you can also specify a work situation. This is optional, but this can sort of tailor some of the advice and the examples that it gives too. Or you don't have to use any of it, you know, and just use the templates to fill in. But it gives some different situations, like I have a 6+ month gap in work history, which, you know, kind of referring back to the beginning, we know a lot of people fall under that circumstance. And things like transitioning from the military to civilian workforce, changing careers, or you can just say none of those. But let's say maybe I'm changing careers as an example there. So I'll go to start building it, and I land on the resume builder here. And there's some tabs up here at the top. So I start off on the build or edit section. There's also tabs to browse sample resumes, to look at some keywords, and then preview what you've built so far. And if you go through this process, by the way, there's no gotcha at the end where it says, okay, now pay $20 to download it. You can save it at any time and download it in lots of different formats. And then there's these different sections: header, headline, highlights of qualifications, and what would go there. Any one of these you can click on, and then it's going to open up fields to fill in. You might see some tips about filling this section out. You know, should I put my GPA or not? And, you know, it'll remember some of these too. So once you've set something up, you can reuse certain things, like in the header, for example, that you're going to do for every resume. But I would fill in details here and then save it, and, you know, just continue on that way. And the arrows here I could use to kind of step through. So this is the skills section. There's some formatting options available there. Use bullet lists or those kinds of things. Now, one thing you can do, if you're not really sure what to put, or you want to see some examples, you can browse those sample resumes. And actually, you can even use some of these samples and paste it right in. So this lets you, I already mentioned my category and my experience level and the fact that I'm looking to change careers. So then it pulls up from this kind of database of sample resumes, and there's some different ones: first-time job seeker, post-secondary student, for different titles here. And so let's see, entry-level job seeker, nursing assistant. So I can review it, and it'll actually show it down below here now that I've selected it, and gives a little description of why it's a good example of that. It's kind of a narrow window here, but you can scroll through and see. Let's see, so that's experience. That's how they list that. That looks interesting. Okay, it gives me some ideas. Looking at, you can actually reuse some of these sections. Obviously, you wouldn't want to use phone numbers and addresses and things. But if you say add to my selected ones, then you can select from that when you're filling in different parts of that. So I'll just choose another one to add to the list here. So I've got 2 selected there now. Again, this is optional, but now if I go back to build or edit, if I'm in a certain section like highlights the qualifications and I go to add it, I have this bar, add from my selected sample resumes. And I can choose which one it is. It has that, so maybe I like this sentence they have for a highlight of qualifications, and then I could add it into that box and then customize it. So that can be a little kludgy, but again, remember that's the build or edit, you just fill it in yourself. And you can always do that, and it does help to have it broken down into these different sections. Anytime I want, I can go and preview the resume. So there I see, I've just started building it. It's got my name, my email, and there's the highlights qualifications. So, I could continue by going back to the build or edit area, but I can always copy this, print it, download it, or email it. There's also this little gear icon, customize my resume. It's easy to kind of miss that. And you can actually choose some different formatting options. So you'll see some different fonts or things like that. And actually, I've only filled in one of those sections, but this lets you drag and drop and rearrange sections too. So if you wanted to build a more functional format resume rather than one that's sort of time-based or chronological, you could rearrange those sections. And basically, you would go through and finish up creating your resume, looking at samples, and yeah, when you're ready, you've got that preview option, and now it's going to show up in the list of resumes. Let me go to my career dashboard. All right, so my career dashboard's filling up. There's my nursing resume there. Nothing for cover letters yet. Here are those saved jobs. I could go pull up my job searches, and the rest of it is down below. So if I did want to apply to one of these, from here I'd actually attach that resume. But something else you can do I can attach the resume and the cover letter to the job that's saved on my dashboard. Now this is going back into the editor, the resume builder. Now, let me show you the letter builder next. I'm just going to say continue here. You can create as many resumes as you want, and they stay there until you remove them. We won't delete them. The cover letter is another thing, and actually it's not just cover letters, it's different types of letters. Cover letter is one, but also things like thank you letters. And again, you can upload one if you've already got something, or you can create a new one. Whoops. Not sure what happened there. So yeah, you see you've got some different choices. Follow-up letter, cover letter in this case. Enter your details there and create one from a sample or create one from scratch. Let's see if we go to, again, there's tips along the way. And so here's similar to that resume builder, there's some samples here. So, some different scenarios, maybe recent college graduate, and then, why is this a strong letter, and then the actual example. And, you can literally even use that sample letter. Now it's just pasted that in there, and you could, of course, customize accordingly. And obviously, there's parts like your address and so on, name. You've got to make sure you customize those. And it's got the same kind of function. You can preview. And then, save it, do whatever you need to from there. So now my dashboard continues to fill up with items. And let me just go and show you. If I go to all saved jobs, my saved jobs here. There's the linking them up to those cards. There's, options. Here's a send resume option. Oops. Here's kind of the progress on it. I haven't even applied yet, but you can keep notes. If you're applying to a lot of jobs, and a lot of people do these days, that might be handy. So here's the send resume thing. I can actually just choose that one I created, send it from here. You might want to send it yourself, but this kind of also gives you a good structure and, again, helps keep track of what you've done. Okay, so I've spent a fair amount of time on the resume and cover letter builder, and you can kind of see how it can help. There's a couple other things I should show you. There is we go back here. So we've looked at most of this. We didn't look at yet the school and scholarship finder, and I know this is a little bit maybe outside of the, whoops, sorry, clicked the wrong item. Let me do that again. Here we are. So discover schools and scholarships. Scholarship finder and a school finder. So if you're just trying to learn about different programs, and maybe it could be somebody deciding to go to grad school for, want to see about if a certain, there's grad school, there's also 2- or 4-year schools to look at. And then you can just, do a search. So maybe it could be a degree, it could be a name of a certain school. So I searched on geology and I get these matches. And then each of these you can also save onto your dashboard, or you can print out information from here. And so here's kind of a profile of, in this case, it's Georgetown, number of students, and other information, costs, financial aid available, what are their master's programs, doctorates, all that kind of detail. So, you know, when kind of considering maybe going to that could be for high school seniors, it could be for people looking to go to grad school or trying to find out about local schools. So you see the interface kind of, it's a little bit older, so it kind of shifts back a little bit, but then we can always come back here. So that's the school search. There's also a scholarship search. And there's, you know, lots of those. This is going to search things like grants.gov. You do have some parameters you can add in here. You know, it gives matches, or you can run your search. Tools to save those, to track them. If you click on the title, it gives you some details about it. Criteria for applicants. Another kind of, you know, breakdown there. You would then want to go out to, you know, there's the actual URL where you could find, you know, information from the source and details on how to contact and so on. So there's just so much in that Job and Career Accelerator tool. There's information, ebooks, tutorials, and then actual, they're just called tools to help you find good matches, to learn about different careers, to keep track of your job hunt and keep all your resumes and cover letters straight. And, you know, other things like here's prepare for an interview. We didn't really look at that in detail, but this is just some of the either tutorials or ebooks. And these have, again, these are some of those sample letters. In addition to being able to use that in the letter builder, there's some ebooks with examples too. So lots of great materials in there. And you can take advantage of all of them, or, you know, maybe there's some that you don't really feel you need to. But there's always something, I think, and just kind of having it all organized in one place is a nice benefit of that My Center. And it's all stored in the cloud, so if your hard drive crashes, it doesn't, you don't lose all of that and have to, you know, rewrite it too. Right, so I think that's a good rundown of the details, a good deep dive into learning Job and Career Accelerator. I want to show you a couple other things about help resources, but I also want to give an opportunity to ask questions. So if you're thinking about a question, or, you know, you have a question, go ahead and start typing that in. I'll just share a couple more things. There's our support site, which is EBSCO Connect, and there's actually a link at the bottom of the Learn Express page that it says administrators and librarians. That'll also take you to a page which links to the Connect site. And there's user guides. There's information about things like if you want to get MARC records for items to add to your catalog, make them more discoverable from Learning Express, linking the centers and other resources directly, like Job and Career Accelerator would be a good thing to have a direct link to. It's not about test prep, so if people, I mean, you know, it can be tangentially, but its kind of main purpose is other than test prep. So it's, if you do have a section on your website that's about career help or job assistance, link directly to that center. So that's what you can find on EBSCO Connect. Also, promotion kits. I'll actually show this to you rather than talk over it on the slide. So I mentioned, I can go down to the bottom of the page and there's a link that says administrators and librarians. And there's a link to some help guides, quick start guides. Here's instructions for getting those MARC records that I mentioned. And this will take you to connect.ebsco.com. And that's our support site for everything, not just Learning Express. But you'll see Learning Express Library Complete Promotion Kit. That's for Learning Express as a whole. That's the version that you have. And then there's Job and Career Accelerator here. Let's look at that one. So again, the basic stuff, quick start guide, logos, graphics, buttons, bookmarks, handouts, posters, flyers, in English and Spanish here. So if you're doing a newsletter or, doing some programming around career services, it's good to know about this. And it's all available for anybody to use just by creating a free account at no additional cost, I should say, and find a job, improve your career prospects. All right, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. And but before I do that, let me just check in. Donna, Trish, anything you'd like to add?
Hi, this is Trish. I just wanted to say that I'm putting the links to the promotion kits into the chat just to make it easy for you to get to. They're very helpful. There's a lot of information in there, including promotional material, but also instructions to download MARC records. There are MARC records for not only Learning Express Library, but also Job and Career Accelerator. And they're not just ebooks, it's for all of the content in there. So tutorials, flashcards, practice exams, and so forth. So it's really important right now to have those. So definitely take a look.
Great, thanks. Thank you, Trish. Donna, anything you'd like to add?
I just want to thank everyone for attending and encourage you to reach out to any of us if you need help at any point with not only launching and implementing Learning Express Library, but any questions in the future.
Absolutely, I agree with that, Donna. Please reach out.
Yep, for sure. We're here to help. All right, I'll go ahead and stop the recording here.